welcome in. Welcome to today's service. We're going to go ahead and get started while we're waiting for people to kind of show up. So. Actually, I'm going to grab my mallet quick. I'll be right back. Hang on 1 second. Okay, now we can get good and started. So, I'll probably post the order of service when I get done conducting the service today, so anybody who doesn't have a copy of it can kind of follow along. We're going to do the normal service. There'll be lighting of incense and candles, a little bit of bowing, a little bit of chanting, and then there will be the Dharma talk and the Dharma reading. We're going to skip out on the meditation. I'm going to trust you guys will do that on your own. Yeah, and then we will close out the same way that we started, with a little bit of chanting and then a little bit of bowing, and then we'll call it a day. So let's go ahead and get started. And once I get the candles and such lit. Nice. Yeah, I'm a little disorganized today. Not sure why, but that is the case. right on over. Oop, maybe a little close. Need to keep our social distancing even from the phone. Okay, so today I thought I'd go over a fairly light topic. It's not going to be too particularly taxing, but I do want to, I really do want to hear you guys' opinions and your thoughts on this. So I'm hoping that I can start to see some of the some comments based on what I'm going to talk about. And what we're looking at is the Anguttara Nikaya, which a specific passage of four means of embracing others. Now, obviously, it should be stated that in our social distancing environment, this does not mean physical and physically embracing people, right? This is very much a four means of more or less understanding people or accepting people or something along those lines, right? So the Buddha says, monks, there are these four means of embracing others. What for? Giving, endearing speech, beneficent conduct, and impartiality. These are the four means of embracing others. Giving, beneficent conduct, beneficent? Man, that word is getting me. Alright, giving, endearing speech, beneficent conduct, and impartiality under diverse worldly conditions as it is suitable to fit each case. These means of embracing others are like the linchpin of a rolling chariot. If there were no such means of embracing others, neither mother nor father would be able to obtain esteem and veneration from their children. But these means of embracing exist, and therefore the wise respect them. Thus they attain to greatness and are highly praised. So, the first thing we need to go over is, what does the Buddha mean by each of these? Because there are ways that this could be completely way off in left field, misinterpreted, that are not particularly useful to the path. I'm not going to go into those, but I will go into, what does the Buddha actually mean by this then? If there are ways that this is not done and the ways that this is done, what is it? What are we talking about here, right? So, and this is where, if you guys think I'm just completely misreading this, by all means, please use some endearing speech to, comment and say, hey, maybe you'll get it this way instead, right? And so already I've kind of given an example of how this is done, right? This is not endearing speech is not just being nice and being kind and being sympathetic and being, just kind of letting everybody do what they want. There are ways of having endearing speech where the endearing speech is not necessarily what people want to hear. And in fact, they most of the time rather not hear it. So, endearing speech, we're going to come back to giving because that one I'm going to do last. Endearing speech really kind of comes down to, there's a way of speaking to someone where you take their point of view into account as well as your own. You kind of consider it, you reflect on what is being said, and you reflect on what is being done. And in your speech, you maintain a certain level of kind of loving kindness, a certain level of compassion for them, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does dumb stuff sometimes, right? So as you're going about trying to kind of say, hey, maybe this is a better way of doing things, take a look at it and really try and grasp the compassion behind that and say, okay, is what I'm saying compassionate? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Right? And if it is it being said in a way that really helps them to kind of further themselves along the path? That's what endearing speech is, right? It doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't have to be all happy. It can be like, hey, knucklehead, you're kind of goofing up. Maybe you want to try this instead. Maybe you're doing this right now. I see you're doing this. Maybe you want to move it over here. Something like that, right? And again, I could be totally wrong on that, but do feel free to comment on your on what you think is going on in here, because I may not know everything either. I'm a knucklehead sometimes myself, right? Okay, beneficent conduct. This would kind of based on the terminology in and of itself. It kind of lends itself to this is conduct that benefits somebody, conduct that does something for somebody. This could be something along the lines of, especially in our day and age, if somebody's quarantined, you take their groceries to them, ring their bell, and kind of get out of their space, and kind of move on as soon as they picked up their groceries. Um, Doing something like that, beneficent conduct, right? Helping people out because it's the right thing to do. Not necessarily doing everything for them, not necessarily, I mean, that would be one example. But it does mean doing something that is going to help them. Usually this is framed in terms of, sharing dharma, sharing some kind of like wisdom with them, um, or acting on their behalf, acting in their stead when they can't, something along those lines. Impartiality. Oh, this one. Haha. uh, how is impartiality a means of embracing people? I'm totally open to totally open to comments on this one because this is easily the weirdest of the four, right? If someone is impartial, how is that embracing them? It's a good question. Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. Uh, we tend to forget that uh, we tend to forget ourselves when we're looking at what we do and what we say, um, and reflecting on that, and owning up to saying, hey, yeah, maybe I made some goofs. I didn't do as well as I could have done. Uh, Next time I'm gonna do it this different way, or next time I'm gonna do better, or hey, I'm still a human being. I do good things too, right? Because the Buddha, as we'll get to in the Dhammapada, maybe few weeks from now, at some point down the line, um, he talks about the vase, right, which we fill up with our actions. Drop by drop, the pitcher is filled. Drop by drop, the vase is filled. If you do good actions, drop by drop, it's filled with good things. If you do bad things, drop by drop, it's filled with bad things, right? So, and okay, Jared, I would kind of, I would hesitate to say that it means indifference, but in terms of impartiality, we have to look at it through the lens of equanimity, I think. And I could be wrong, right? This is my interpretation of this. Impartiality, from what it looks like to me, what we're looking at really is more or less equanimity, right? Not getting attached to one side or the other, so that you can do the right, so you can do right by everybody, right? You're embracing them by not inserting yourself into the situation. It is kind of what I think the Buddha is getting at there. Um, so I don't think it necessarily means indifference per se, but it is that could be what it definitely gets seen as, and that's why it's so hard to figure out why the Buddha is talking about impartiality when he's talking about uh, four means of embracing others. Um, this one, I'm just gonna come out and say I don't know if there is a right answer there. Maybe there is. You might be right. You could be completely right, or Lay, you could be also right too. It could just mean accepting things as they are, right? Embracing them as they are, uh, kind of not sticking your own, putting your own headspace into the situation, not trying to read into it too much, just saying that is what it is. That is exactly what we've got. So maybe, um, maybe all of these are right, and maybe none of them are right. I don't know. Um, okay, going back to the first one, right? The first one is probably the key because we've talked about it so many times or I've talked about it so many times in various sermons in different contexts, right? The Buddha talks about giving as being so crucial, so absolutely key. Doesn't mean you have to, I mean, even something as simple as a child offering a handful of rice is of benefit, right? And the whole point behind that is that the giving is not, it's not what is given, right? And it's not who it's being given to. It's the mindset of, I'm going to care about them, I'm going to provide them with something that they need. Whether that's the Dharma, whether that's a child offering a handful of rice flour, whether that's, monetary benefit, whatever it ends up being, right? And that's what the Buddha is talking about, under diverse worldly conditions as is suitable to fit each case. So that's, giving is so key, right? And as I mentioned a couple of days ago when talking about the Dhammapada, um, there is a passage in which the Buddha says, uh, if people knew the value, the merit of, the worth of giving as I do, they wouldn't eat a meal without sharing it if there was even one person to share it with. All right, they wouldn't just eat it all themselves. They would find, if there was somebody else there, they would give some part of it if they knew what value giving has, right? Giving is so powerful, such an absolute key. Um, and again, it doesn't have to be like physical things. It doesn't have to be monetary stuff. It doesn't have to be like possessions. Giving your time, right? Giving, maybe this looks to you like um, FaceTiming with family who you haven't talked to in a while, or FaceTiming with somebody who is going through a hard time, or texting somebody who you haven't texted in a while and saying, "Hey, how you doing?" That's giving, right? That's it. On the grand scheme of things, it may seem like that's super tiny, but giving in any form, because it sets you up in that mindset of gratitude and generosity, of that mindset of trying to put others, trying to think of others' needs as well as your own, or maybe even more than your own. That is so key, so absolutely key, and the Buddha is right on that one, right? So, I think I'm going to end it there because honestly, I really want to go into comments. I really want to go into, what do you guys think of these four means of embracing others? What do you guys see in that? How does this look to you? Right? What does this look like to you? Because right now, even if we can't do kind of like physical uh, embracing of others, or we shouldn't be doing physical embracing of others, um, we can absolutely do with these other means, right? So what does that look like to you? And I'm actually just going to open up to comments, and then that will be kind of the end of the service if as soon as we're done with talking comments.